Here we have G1 Powermaster Slapdash. Oh yes, this, if you haven't seen any of the other videos, which you should have done, has been generously donated by Balucious, long-time big, what's it called? Big fan, subscriber, whatever, friend of the channel. He donated this, not quite complete. So I went on eBay and I managed to find the rest of the bits to complete it. And here he is. So we'll have a quick look. These stickers are not perfect, but they're pretty good. This is as Balucious came. I dare say I could repro label it, but this is a gift. You take it as it is. So, you know. But it's a nice thing. It's, is it an old style F1 car or some sort of... one of the sort of like not quite Formula 1, one of the other formulas. It seems like that, but possibly a Cybertronian version. I do hate the Cybertronian just as an excuse for not making something accurate, but that's what they did back in the day. It's not like the Siege line, but let's not get into that. But no, he's beautiful. Nice little textured seat in there. Yeah, see little indents. Nice. Very, very nice. Oh, do like it. And yeah, you can pop the gun off if you want, just pegs in there. It's got nowhere else to store. So, you know. Comparison. Transformers Prime, Robots in Disguise, wherever it was, Warrior Class, Sideswipe. So he's... I don't want to say Voyager in this mode, possibly a small Voyager if you want to go that far, but I'd just say a chunky deluxe, to be honest. I think that's the safest way of putting it. Now, he's a Powermaster, and one of the things they did with the Powermasters was basically they said, you can't transform them unless they have their partner. I don't know why, but that's what they did. And his partner is a guy called Lube. L-U-B-E, lube, as in to lube up the engine because it runs properly, blah, blah. Nothing else, nothing sordid. Don't be so rude. And here is Lube. He's a nice little dude, painted bluish face. He's a grey and orange, nice silvery backpack, possibly engine, you know, like jump jets if you really want. And the arms do move. Oof. But they're very stiff, and I'm very worried about breaking them because they're only ickle, and I'm worried about snapping them, and I don't want to snap them. But yeah, he's a nice enough little fella. He's like wiggle a bit and stuff like that, but he does what he needs to do. And what he does is there's a little peg there on his leg that goes into the hole where his shoulder is. So you got to fold the legs up and around, and peg them in, round and peg them in, and that's his engine mode. So now you've got to install it into the car. How'd you do that? As far as I'm aware, this is probably one of the few that address this issue. On every other version, every other like Powermaster, I think, off the top of my head, the places where these guys are plugged in are just really obvious. This guy actually covers it up. I've no idea why, but he does. How he covers it up is this big yellow piece, which you just unpeg. It's got a hole there, which is the opposite end of where the gun plugs in. Just goes onto that little peg. And there it is. And I'll do that in a second. Now, you plug that into there. Get in there. Get in there. Yeah. There you go. So now he's got a big cool looking engine behind the cab, you know what I mean, the seat. Okay, well now this is still lying around, and if this is off and that's the only place the gun plugs in, then you can't plug the gun in either. Now, I did see in someone else's review, I can't remember who it was, could have been like Caked Up, something like that, that apparently you can plug it into the screw hole in the back of this engine. But whoever had this engine before me put a little sort of like a fake gem, you know, from like these little craft kits. So let's put one of them over it. So don't work. But it does look quite nice, so you know we'll go for that. But what you can do is get this, and using the two big pegs sticking out, plug them into those two holes. No idea why my dog's going mental upstairs, but he is. You can plug that into the back there. So this piece, if it's not being used to cover the end, the panel, isn't lost. And again, you can still, if you want, makes it look a bit like a dodgem. You can plug that into the back. I didn't mean to do that. I wasn't dropping it out of disgust. It just rolled out of my hand. So yeah, it's all right. Fine, sure, why not? So we'll take these pieces off. Might as well separate them for argument's sake. So they're separate. Go over there. And we should get onto the transformation. And sadly, little bit parts formery. Just a little bit. Which is slightly irritating, but I'll let him off. So what you'll do is actually take this grey piece off. It just slides over that huge yellow block. Take that off. And now we get into probably the most memorable thing about this figure. His transformation is weird. And I'll point this out to you. We can split him in half. Some of these joints are a bit tight. We're basically doing it on this hinge here. Now, let me explain something to you first. This piece here is going to be his waist. And that's his head. So that has got to get to there. What? It's just a really weird transformation. So what we're going to do is, these are two separate pieces, straight on there, and they've got a big hinge inside there. So we need to bring it up, so they're roughly there. They won't go completely into place because this is in the way, which we can solve very easily, because this, with the hinge that we use to get to uncover from the head, is on this black piece, which is also on a hinge. We'll explain it in a second. But what you need these guys for is because they actually release, see these giant grey clips either side of the head? They go into these slots, and if you haven't got the Powermaster in, they don't release. However, there is a giant obvious button, so you can just press that if you want. Have we got another Powermaster handy? Yes. Joyride with his big obvious thing. But see that button there? Yeah, you can just press that to get rid of the... If you've lost your Powermaster for whatever reason, your engine. Okay, so we're going to bring this on that hinge out, and then we can get the shoulders into place. Hooray! And now you think, okay, we'll just bring that around and slam it into place. Not quite. Itchy, itchy, itchy. No, not quite. What you've got to do, and this is funky. Each piece, because this is split down the middle from here, each of these pieces needs to slide sort of down and out slightly. It's almost imperceptible. It's not even much. But that's what they need to do. They need to sort of slide down and out to there. And this will expose this little yellow double hinge, which will allow you to bring this forward and fold it, fold it, fold it, fold it, fold it, and there you go. And that makes like a crotch piece and front skirting. Okay. At which point you can then fold that back flat against this, and that big notch sticking out there goes into that gap and into place. And we're pretty much there. All we need to do now is, on this bottom screw here, rotate this yellow piece over. So we'll rotate it over. Then you can flip out the hand and just bring the arm down. You can't bring them all the way down because sadly these wheels are in the way. But it's fine, it's G1. Or close enough. So we'll rotate that over, flip the hand out, and bring it down. Now we have Slapdash in his robot mode, and I don't know, there's something about this I've always loved, especially with like the weird shape there. It's like, it's not, see the angle on the head? It's not straight across, it's an angle, just, there's always been something just slightly off about him, and I love it. I really do. And there's not really much kibble. You could say the wheels, but wheels aren't really kibble. You'd say that, but no, it's working as a side, like a waist skirt. That's not kibble. There's nothing there. Although, we do have all of this lying around. But they thought about it. So what you do is you get this grey piece, and this is a circle with a piece off to one side. And now we have that peg hole, which is sticking out a mile, and it has a little cutout. So you plug that into there. Okay. And then you can actually use this, and I'm not sure if there's a certain way around. I think it's that way around. It'll only fit one way. Use those two peg holes into those two little indentations. And you can plug that onto the back. And again, if you want, you can store the gun on it. That's up to you. Or you can just stick it in his hand. Yeah. There you go. Slapdash, all kitted up. This is uneven, it's not always his fault. Slapdash in robot mode, all kitted up. None of his stuff missing. Just look at him. And even with this little backpack, it's still not intrusive. It's still quite small. And he's lovely. Oh, lovely. Just always loved. There's just something about Slapdash. Because like I say, I've got a spare one of these for this now. I might have another one somewhere, I don't know. But he's not got any of the extra parts. But this is my old one. And there's just something I've always loved about this mold. And now I've got a complete one from Balucious. I'm like, oh, baby. I do love him. But, for argument's sake, if you don't want this on there, if you don't want him on there, and just to prove the point, look, grey button. See how the hooks are moving back? Okay, so you can just do that if you want. For argument's sake, yeah, you can still use this instead if you want. If you don't want the engine on there, you can use that as his chest plate. Come on, don't play off. There we go. Which I believe is how he's usually drawn. If he's seen in any comics or anything, he's usually portrayed like this. So you can have Slapdash and transform him. Come on, sort yourself out. There you go. You can have Slapdash and Lube in robot mode together. What more do you want? Honestly, what more do you want? They're brilliant. And for size comparison, Age of Extinction Bumblebee. So yeah, I'm kind of right in the deluxe department. He's not huge, but yeah, there's just something funky. You know, the bright colours, the weird designs, the funny little gimmicks. There's always something I loved about these later generation Transformers and the G2s. Just something I always loved about them, and they're fun. You know what I mean? Because most of these weren't in cartoons, they weren't in comics or anything, at least not at the time. So the designers could do what they want with them, and they had fun, and it shows. And I love these little guys. That's why I love the later generations of G2. I love those guys, except for Springer. I hate Springer. Come on, it wasn't that big a shock. Everyone knows that. At least it's not Roadbuster. But no, great little figures, honestly. And yeah, that's about it, really. I might even do another review later because I've got nothing better to do. So, I should be ugly, I should be wretched, and I shall see all of you in the next one. Bye, everybody!